bureaucracy of any government generally determines how well that government works, determines how well the elected people do, and there are a lot of pieces of the bureaucracy. If you are elected mayor, one of the first groups you'll obviously have to deal with is city council. You have any idea what you might have to say or think about the size of that council right now?
Not before I get elected. No, I'm sorry. I believe that that the size of the council right now functions reasonably well. My style will be to work with the council very closely, but I will share with you that my sense is that we have a manageable size council today.
Do you like the committee structure that they use to essentially operate the bureaucracy?
I like it reasonably well. I mean, you know, I come out of the state senate and the state house, and we have committee structures that function in a similar fashion to council.
Single biggest issue about a bureaucracy, obviously, is the people that you put into the major positions in that bureaucracy. How would you approach that?
Talent and merit will govern my decisions regarding the appointment of the bureaucracy and the people that work around me. What I intend to do is to have an open and transparent process. My preference will be for the men and women who have worked in these various departments, but I will tell you that I will conduct a wide open search where everyone is eligible to compete. I will have a selection panel, a search committee, made up of experts in that field who will help me identify the best and the brightest. We will cull a list and get it down to between 3 to 5 individuals. We will make those 3 to 5 individuals public and transparent, and then I will ask for members of the committee and the public to engage in the vetting process. Those individuals will undergo background checks that include financial background checks and GBI background checks on each and every one of them for the major positions in my cabinet. That's how I would imagine that process would work.
You intend to ask for resignations when you take office?
I do. I will ask for the resignations of every single individual that works at the pleasure. And then after having the opportunity to work through the transition process with them, I will make a judgment as to whether or not I accept those resignations or keep people in their positions. But it will be my intention to have resignations from all of the individuals who work at the pleasure of the mayor in my desk. And then I believe the transition process gives you a very good opportunity to get a sense of the different competencies of the individuals you're working in. And I think the transition
Reports that you receive from those individuals was very helpful as well. As you may know, I co-chaired the transition process for Mayor Franklin in 2002, so I am familiar with the different kind of reports that a mayor will receive during that time, and I think that it gives you a good opportunity to kind of measure people. But you know, being completely candid, I think that Atlanta is at a space where we need talent, and I believe that that because of where Atlanta is right now, we're going to be able to go out and find A-list players for our cabinet during the next mayor's term.
You have any idea at the moment any particular area that you would look at in terms of privatizing the operation?
No, I do not.
You've been in the Senate now for several terms, and you obviously have I'm sure by now, certainly a good read of the attitude that exists very often as far as the state is concerned toward the city of Atlanta. One of the parts of the bureaucracy that seems to work quite well and is recognized as such is the airport. Also, as far as that operation is concerned, there is continuing discussion and interest in possibly moving its operations to the state. If that rears its head when you are mayor, and maybe would do so with the support of the airlines, how would you deal with that?
I would deal with it in a robust and candid and transparent way. What I will say is this: I think that I am uniquely positioned among the candidates for mayor to work with the state on an issue that is important as how the airport is controlled. I mean, we had a bill this year that was introduced regarding governance and control of the airport, and I was one of the first person that was called to work on that matter in the Georgia State Senate. I think if you look at major issue after major issue that the city has faced, sir, I've been involved in it in an important way. If you look at the transportation bill that was worked on, it was the biggest piece of legislation in the Senate this year. I was one of the 3 conferees, the only Democrat conferee on that bill. If you look at the water and sewer bill that we passed, I was a co-author of that bill. When it was time to deal with the Beltline and challenges faces in the Beltline and the constitutional amendment, I was the co-author of that bill. When it was time to reform the City of Atlanta school structure, I was the author of that bill. When it was time to consolidate the municipal court and the traffic court to generate savings so that we could hire more police officers and firefighters, I was the co-author of that bill. I know the members of the Senate and the House very well in detail, and I know that you get a great deal more accomplished in private than you do on television or in the light of day. And I think because of my long-standing 11 years of service with those members, that I would be best positioned to deal with whatever challenge came about as a result of issues related to airport control.
The city recently increased property taxes by something better than 40%. That being necessary to sort of reorganize and re-augment the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy obviously can't function without money.
Yes, sir.
Tax rates in Atlanta already have doubled in 5 or 6 years, and this increase comes on top of that. What do you think about the level of taxation in the city at this time, and what do you have on your mind at the moment in terms of ensuring that these crises do not come as this one did, with a 40% increase at one time in order to keep fire stations open and police officers working?
Well, I think that the current tax level for Atlanta puts Atlanta at risk, candidly. I think that the tax increase that was passed, the $3 million increase, I did not agree with it. I went on the record in January of this year supporting a $1 million increase, which would have generated between $18 and $20 million, enough to end the furloughs for police and fire. I took that position at the time and took all of the heat and the criticism that came with it, and people were pretty upset at me. I mean, in my 11 years, I've never voted for a property tax increase, Bob, or a sales tax increase of any kind. But I believe that what was going on in the streets of Atlanta was so important that it had to be paid for. For me, the $3 million tax increase places Atlanta in a very bad competitive position when you're surrounded by counties like Cobb, which gives me unique concern in terms of having a number of people who generate a large amount of the tax base and wealth move to jurisdictions with lower taxes. So it causes me to fear. But we have to let people know, certainly people in communities where they pay higher taxes, is we do not view them as a bank. And I think that that's the risk that we're at right now.
Thank you, sir.